week we'll once again take a look at a difficult chess puzzle. This one has been composed by Michael Lipton, a successful economist with a great interest in chess and the author of 2 chess puzzle books. And since this is a composed chess puzzle, the position is quite special. This requires that you think in a somewhat broader perspective and not only consider the moves that feel right. Well, you have 1 minute to figure out the checkmate white performs in 2 moves. Good luck. Well, the position is actually quite so chaotic, so in order to solve it, we must analyze it from the perspective that there is a checkmate here in 2 moves. If we look at the black king situation, we notice that it does not have any free squares to go to. The next step is to check which of our pieces are guarding these squares and which aren't. Our only pieces that are not included in the work of guarding these squares is our knight on b3 and our queen. What's important to note here is that the knight could checkmate on c5 or on d4 if it wasn't for the rook and bishop that could capture the knight. So what we can conclude from all this is that the first move will be a queen move after all. So which different moves do we have with our queen then? If the queen could only get to c4 in 1 move, we could have a checkmate after that the rook blocked it and we capture it. But it does, however, take 2 moves for the queen to get to c4, and after the capture of the rook, we are already up in 3 moves. Trying to get the queen to c6 does not work either, because when we finally get the queen to c6 after 2 moves, black just blocks the check with either the bishop or the rook. And the plan to get the queen to f5 is also just useless, because the black bishop then just captures our queen, and then when we capture back with the pawn, which in fact is a checkmate, we've already used 3 moves again. But there is actually 1 square we can place our queen on which looks very promising, namely e5. We can get to the e5 square with our queen in 3 different ways, by playing queen a5, queen c3 or queen g3. If we play with queen a5, black can't do that much at all. If black plays bishop c5 in order to block the checkmate, we capture the bishop with our knight and with a checkmate. Let's go back and let black try the rook d5 move. In that case, we checkmate by capturing the rook with the queen. And if black instead chooses bishop d6, queen d5 is a checkmate. But if black plays rook d6, our move knight c5 is not a checkmate, because what black can do is to escape with the king to e5. This means that the first move, queen a5, is not the right move for us. So let's instead try queen c3. The simple answer to this one is bishop d6, and we just don't have any checkmate at all. So what happens on queen g3? This move does indeed look promising. On the black move bishop d6, knight d4 is a checkmate thanks to the queen which guards the e5 square. If black chooses to respond with rook d6 instead, we play knight c5 checkmate again. And if black tries to cover the e5 square with the rook by playing rook d5, we checkmate by simply capturing the rook with our pawn. And finally, black's desperate move bishop f5 checks lets us checkmate black by capturing the bishop with the pawn, checkmate. Well, this puzzle was really tricky because of all the possible variations that had to be analyzed. If you managed to come to the conclusion that it was either the queen a5, c3 or g3 that could be the first right move, you do deserve a point for this time too. So, well done everyone. Now it's time for this week's episode of the Chess History with Professor Arne Johansson, so enjoy.